and welcome back to part 2 of the Batman suit. Here we are looking at my my whole Batman suit, and this is just basically a tutorial. I'll be pointing out some of the painting I did, some of the process I used in the first attempt of working with EVA foam, and a nice little shot down here of all the little things that make up the Batman costume. There's also an undersuit. Here's a picture of me in the suit. A couple pictures. There's a big one. Another big one. There's my friend Nick. Hey, good looking guy. That's another picture. Ooh, scary picture. Yay. So yeah, we're just going over this whole suit and its processes. So here we're looking at the mask. This is when the mask was before paint. A lot of EVA foam. This is a Bondo I used to cover up some of the cracks and crevices. And basically what you do is you smooth that down with some sandpaper. Here I'm pointing at the neck piece, or the mouthpiece. I always like that little curvature. There's another picture of me just of the mask before had the hood thing on. Yeah, I like the nose, how it turned out, and basically pointing out the scars and scratches I put on this thing in the makeup. I didn't want this to be a clean suit. I wanted it to be like it went through a night of damage. Yeah, I really like that little bridge right there. And white eyes, always white eyes. Batman, you gotta have white eyes. Yeah, it's a lot of foam underneath, and the mannequin head. He's got a nice chin, but not enough coverage in there, so he's gonna look a little big on him. But that's okay. Yeah, you got that good chin. And yeah, a little dusty. Ooh. Yeah, I've been sitting for a while. Store your props properly, people. That's all I gotta say. And my big nose, and again, I'm just pointing out some of these details I had to paste and sculpt on here. And this is all a learning process. You can see right here, it's binding up a little bit because it was a little tight on my face. I didn't measure it that well, and that's just some of the process. So what are we going to go look at? A little closer up on the face, and you're getting a really good look at this detail work we put on here. Again, white eyes. Those are mesh materials. Really hard to see out of, but you sacrifice vision for the look. And again, as you can see on this painting process, it's scuffed up. The back, I never really cared that much for the back. I did a very bad job on the back, but my thought process was no one's going to be looking at the back, they're going to be looking at this beautiful front. Yeah, right there. Yeah, the front. That's what people are going to be looking at. Never the back. So I didn't really care that much about the back. Again, this is my first attempt using EVA foam, and we'll get into that a little bit later with the EVA foam. But overall, I thought the new mask. There was another mask. I don't really have any pictures of it on here. This one turned out a lot better. I based it on the Arkham series, Arkham Origins in particular. And the only thing that really changed was the eyes. I don't like Batman with like the human eyes. I like him with the cartoon white eyes. And I'm pointing out, as you can see with the paint, I took another black on the black and I just brushed in the scratches. Really, really proud of the ears, how they turned out. Look at that. Just basically followed the pattern and cut it to shape, and that's what we came up with. Okay, here's a template and the first parts of the suit before I was after heat treating. And basically all EVA foam is like a flooring material. I think you would use it in a garage to kind of help cushion your feet. I'm not really 100% sure. But once you heat treat it, you can bend it to any shape you want. Now here we're looking at the chest piece here, and I'm pointing at this. This is a button. All it was just a push pin, and I cut the tip off because I didn't want to poke myself on accident, and I just glued that bad boy in there. And the bat symbol was actually just a piece of plastic I cut and I heated to shape, and I glued it down. And again, just like with the mask, there was a lot of like paint damage, And yeah, that thing's hard. And that's the only part that's hard on that whole thing is that symbol right there. And when you take a picture of it, you really wouldn't notice all the gray. It's just the lighting right now. That's an actual, I don't know what that was from. It's just a piece of metal belt piece, and it was just copying the actual template from the game. So, yeah, this is what we ended up with. Cape is glued down. The whole thing was glued with hot glue. I would not ever use hot glue again for something like this. And there was just a series of disasters with that. As you can see, it's starting to wear. Again, this is the first attempt, and a lot of pieces are not where they're supposed to be. And yeah, there's the abs. It's not 100% fit to my form, and it made me look a little fatter than I was supposed to be looking, as you can see in some of the other pictures prior. This is just that was a nightmare trying to find that. It was just some kind of like braided fabric. It was in the suits in the game, so that's what I went looking for. It was really hot. EVA foam is a foam. Because it's a foam, it's an insulator. And if you don't insulate your costumes properly, you are going to be sweating the night off. So I would always put that into play with future people who are attempting to use EVA foam in the future. Keep that in mind. This is going to be a hot suit. If you can find a way to put a heat vent in, put a heat vent in. Hide it if you have to. Make it out of something else, another mesh material. Try to make that suit as cool as possible. And as you can see here, yeah, that's some of that hot glue. It doesn't really paint very well unless you sand it down really well in certain spots, and that was mostly from the cape being ripped off all the time, and I really just put 12 pounds of glue into it and held it down. This is the shoulder pad, and they didn't do a really good job on the shoulder pads either, but again, I thought the cape would be covering it up, so I really didn't concentrate too much on that. But this is all like stretch material, so that's a real, these are all, you know, they'll bend to your shoulders, and it makes it really tight and combining, but it also makes you feel like a badass. These are the, what would you call those, the bicep pads. Again, a lot of those push pads around it, and a little bit of damage. I did a little bit better job on that one. You can see where I'm hiding a lot of mistakes, though, with the cape, and I knew what a lot of would be seen. And again, that's a cheat right there. My arm was not big enough to form fit it, and I had to put a little thing in there. Here's the cape. Didn't sew anything. Again, hot glue. Cut the thing out, folded it over, hot glue, hot glue, hot glue. Probably lost about an inch in skin in my fingertips because of that. But here's a close-up of that. I mean, you would never really see that unless you're really, really looking up close on it. And when you're at like a cosplay event or just walking around on the street on Halloween, no one's ever going to really notice any of these like small details. So you can cheat these things a little bit. And what we got coming up here? Oh, here's the arm things. I like the arm things. I did a really good job on these ones. I would do them differently now. I learned a lot since messing with this. It's a little dusty. Forgive that. Again, a lot of battle damage on that, because I figured Batman's arm thing would be just pounding on criminals all night long. So, and I didn't want this to be a clean suit. That's the one thing I always hate about Batman suits. They're always really clean, and they don't look like he never fought any crime. I mean, I guess he does look like that in the comic books a lot, but I mean, in real life, he would just be a mess every night coming back home after blood and stuff getting on his suit all night long and just beating the crap out of people and running them up against buildings and scraping them and stuff like that. So here's the glove. I think this is just like a typical work glove. You can find them at Ace Hardware. They're like $9. They're super cheap. It had a cool pattern on it to begin with. Oh yeah, and the things I made out of foam, I didn't make those out of plastic because I figured I would bump into people and I didn't want to accidentally scrape people. So foam was key there. I didn't even care if they got ripped off. You know, I just didn't want to hurt anybody. Yeah, Batman doesn't want to hurt anybody. Doesn't want to kill anybody anyway, that's for sure. So yeah, I like these things. They turn out really good, and I mean, if it did in the future, I would probably copy this pattern, but just make it a little bit different. My suggestion would be not to use hot glue at all. I would use bards or some kind of contact cement if you're going to do something with foam work. And yeah, even with this is just foam. Cut the knuckle pieces out, and I glued them down. And my surprise, I thought that would be the first thing that popped up, but no, they never popped up. They never came on loose. I mean, you almost have to like rip the foam off to get the stuff off in the future. If you ever wanted to like change anything, and it really does bind to stuff very, very well if you do the proper form. And I think this has worked a little bit better because, you know, this was obviously I had the glove on and just glued it on there and got the proper form. So that turned out a lot better than a lot of the other stuff on the suit. Here's the, what would you call those? The leg guards. I thought they looked okay. There's a little belt thing right there to keep it up on my actual belt, and I should have done this all differently. This was just a big learning experience. I should have made the bat belt with a real belt and glued pieces onto a real belt. I didn't do that, and because of that, everything at one point just gave way and fell apart. Boom, like that, falling over. They never failed. They never stayed up straight. I never get them to stay up straight. They always fall over, and it's always super frustrating, especially when I'm trying to show it off or demonstrate it. Yeah, a lot of those push pins are now popping off. Yeah, this bat suit is it's just a disaster of itself. It's just constantly falling apart now. I might use it like in a future project or a filming thing. So what we got next? We got the boots. The boots were cool. I love the boots. Again, I had a lot of battle damage in the front because I figured he'd just be kicking it all night long. And I went and got like a really cool looking snow boot. Snow boots, yeah. And you know, they're really big, and they really lend a really cool, unique look to it. And here's a side profile. Again, but I didn't measure everything right. So this part always was never covering on my knee properly. And if it just slipped down or whatnot, yeah, you can see there's a little cool pattern on that. But these were old snow boots that I bought. And because of that, they are totally falling apart now. And that was like the first day of walking to my first con. And they just ripped a big hole in it. And I didn't even really notice because of the whole mask and costume look of it. But yeah, the boots overall turned out really good. And again, real straps. You know, that hot glue and that foam, it really holds together. But again, I would really strongly suggest using like a contact cement in the future if you're using any of this kind of stuff. Because I used a contact cement on something else and it really, really was awesome. Has a lot of giveaway where the glue doesn't. And yeah, there's the boots. They're falling apart. They probably won't last very much longer, and all my art endeavors are just for waste, just for showing off. I don't even know if the suit would fit properly. I've lost all the weight, and like again, I didn't really fit it properly to myself. So I might be able to like salvage that into something else. So now we have the Infinite belt. Oh man, cool in practice, horrible in real life. I really, really love the paint job on this thing. As you can see, I still love it. It's wearing off, and it looks even cooler wearing off. I did the yellow, and then I went over it with like a black and a gold, and now the gold's kind of like fading down and chipping off, and it's just showing the yellow underneath, and it just, oh, it's so perfectly done. So here's some cool features on it. This little thing comes out here. Let me get this out. And there will be another one on the other side. And you might be wondering what the hell this is. This was my grappler. So Batman's got his grappling hook, and that was my grappling hook. I always felt like because of the traumatic event that happened in Batman's life, there was a little wind-up thing for the rope. He would never want to carry anything that looked like a gun on him, because he would just not be afraid of guns, he just hated guns. And that was my idea there. It doesn't look like a gun, but it does look like it would be a functioning grapple hook. It was more based on the animated series grappling hook. I always liked how that one looked, and it was kind of like an homage to that one. And those go back in there, and they fit pretty nicely. And then another thing I did on here is I had actual, what would you call that? Pockets. These, again, great in practice, horrible in real life. The Velcro never stuck properly because of that hot glue. And I did have thing stuff in there. I have like little bat grenades. I have stuff in this one. They don't come out. So whatever. This was a little flashlight with a bat symbol. Can you see that? Let me point it on the floor. Maybe you can get a better look. Yeah, that's the bat symbol. Better not do that too much, because then Batman will come and save the day and be like, "What are you turning on my light for?" Woo, 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 woo. So, as you can see, this whole thing is just made out of EVA foam, and because of that, it could not hold its own weight, because I stuffed it all stuff because I wanted to be cool and have all the gadgets on me. There was a battering pocket right there in the back, and it fell completely apart. I broke like right by that first pivot point, and because I cut each part out, like you can see on the scene here, and just hot glued it all together. And it works when you hot glue it together, but like you can't really see it. But it fell completely apart on its own weight, and I was like in a costume contest, and this thing falls apart right when I have to go up on stage, and it was a nightmare. I've since repaired it. You can't really see that where it ripped, but it's just nothing but Velcro holding this thing on the costume. In fact, because there's no opening, you kind of have to step into it and kind of pull up your belt like your bootstraps. And bad design on my behalf. I should have done it differently, completely differently. And again, if I had to do a different Batman suit, I would totally do it differently. So, that was my Batman suit. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again on another Cosplay Oddities. Thanks for watching and listening to me ramble about this suit. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. And next one will be my Metal Gear Solid. Ooh, won't that be fun?